last 3 months or so, and she's going to tell us what her experience has been like. So Tina, tell us all about it. Like, what brought you to me in the first place?
Well, I am, and I have to tell my age because it is an age appropriate kind of a thing. So I'm 53, and I am in that part of my life where the kids are grown. I've accomplished the school, a lot of the career, but what do I do now and who am I? And if you don't have answers to those things, and you just find yourself in a very negative spot. And that's where I had found myself. So I reached out to some friends and my sister and found Karen, and she's wonderful. So
Yay, thank you. Thank you. Well, so okay, so what were kind of so you weren't sure where you were going. What were kind of the specific things that were coming up for you that you were encountering, the kind of problems you were encountering?
So very specifically, I have been working for the same company for 35 years now. So I had started when I was a teenager. And to a certain extent, there comes a lot of baggage when you're with a company for that long. And a lot of that baggage can be negative depending upon how your career path went. So I was just at work, I was in a very negative spot. I am a widow. So what I don't think I realized was the negative impact that was having on me, which I've since, I think with your help, have identified. But there was a lot of things that went along with that. But also there was just a lack of purpose in my life, because with the kids being grown and I don't need to reinvent my career. What do I do? What do I want to do? And a large question of who am I now? Because it is, I'm a very different person now. Just didn't know who it was.
Sure. Okay. And so what were some of the things that helped you that we worked on?
There were some conversations that we had. One of them was conversations about my kids and moving, because I'd also moved from where we lived when they were kids to a new state, and all the upset that caused. And I don't think I even realized how much that was affecting me. And you just, during a conversation that we had, kind of helped me uncover that, which was huge, because then I was able to really identify it and let it go. And it might sound corny, but when you realize what's going on and you can let it go, it just opens up more happiness. I feel very cliched, but it's all very true.
Right.
And just as far as the negative baggage at work, also, you walk around with negative baggage and negative feelings, and you turn it all inward. At least I do. So there were a lot of questions that you asked me about work and trying to identify what I was doing to myself. So in that case, you really just helped me see what I was doing to myself and putting some positive spins on it. Like if two people are talking and they look at me, I would think that they were talking about me. You said, well, of course they are. You're wonderful. Like, duh. But also, as far as purpose is concerned, one night you gave me homework. And the homework was, what do you want to do? Who do you want to do it with? And I was surprised by how simple those answers were. I thought they would be really complicated, and it had to be some grandiose type of plan in my life. And it's not. And understanding that, again, just the clarity was so helpful to me.
Right, right. Because as when we first started talking, you were talking about, like, you just are a very goal-oriented person, right? And always have been. And so you got to the spot where it's like, I don't know, like I've been going after things all my life. So tell me a little bit about that.
Also, when you start looking at being a goal-oriented person and you are in a certain position in your life, and you can go, okay, the goal was to get married and have kids, done that, own a house, done that, college educated, done that. I mean, you could just keep going on. And then all of a sudden, the challenges that you need to face, at least in my mind, were bigger and bigger and bigger. So I was at a point where I'm like, maybe my next challenge is to sell all of my goods and possessions and go teach English as a second language in China. And it's like, if you really think about that, that's like huge. That's giving up a lot. And maybe your goals are simpler. Maybe you just want to have a little garden so that you can come home from work and enjoy yourself. So I think I was able to understand that the goals don't have to be these very large, grandiose things, that they can be simpler.
That was the huge shift for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
And it's
Go
a
ahead.
lot upsetting to your life as well.
Right, right. Well, and again, when we see ourselves as a certain type of person, and this is what it's like, oh, God, I've got to carry on with this no matter what, right? This is just who, because I remember you saying very clearly, this is just who I am, right? And so this is the way it's going to be. And tell me how long you've been working on trying to figure this out.
Honestly, if I look at it probably goes back a lot farther than I think, because I would say that to put a date on it, after my husband passed away, it then becomes who am I? So that was 2012, so at least 5 years. But I think if I look back on it, it was probably even before I decided to move out of state with my job. And I think moving out of state, part of that was part of the big goals that I've got to accomplish. It's time to move. Let's go.
Right. So. Right. And so, so you've kind of been in this state of flux for at least 5 years, a little bit more. And what were the things that you were doing to try and solve that?
Well, again, when I talk about something crazy like going to teach English as a second language, like I really thought that it needed to be a very large goal, a very big project. It's got to be monumental. And I have a lot of younger brothers and sisters, so they're now meeting their big goals in life. So I am like, I have to imitate that. But I think I really didn't want to. So I was actually going and looking at classes for teaching English as a second language. I was starting to plan trips to Europe so that I could look at places that I wanted to go. I kid you not. So I was really taking it to the extreme, I think. So I think that in just meeting you, it just really kind of calmed that all down.
Right. Yeah. So, and Amy, you said you were reading books, you were reading articles, you were like doing all this stuff, and so and there was no clarity coming from that.
Exactly.
Right. So, and that's just that's the thing, and you and I have talked about that a lot, which is it's kind of hard to, when you've been thinking a certain way all your life, or you've developed into this way of thinking, this pattern of thinking, it's hard to see that. And it's hard to move out of that because it's a different perspective that's required, right?
Yes, and can I add something to that also? Because the other thing that I was doing was talking a lot to friends and family, but none of them have the just an outside perspective, because they're all trying to be very helpful and everybody wants to be positive. So when you say something like, oh, wow, I need to go do this, it's like, oh, great, you'll be great at it. When really what somebody needs to say is, wait a minute, stop, focus, because they're all very well-meaning. So for me, I needed that person that could, call me on things, but also ask me the right questions to get me in the right direction, which is what you were able to provide.
Right. Yeah, just again, an outside, unbiased opinion, right? Or not opinion, but perspective, because when I started working with you, I had no idea. I mean, it could have been like, hey, yeah, great, you're going to China to teach, right? It could have been that, but my job really was to help you create that clarity, so you were crystal clear about that. And it happened really quickly for you, didn't it?
I consider myself fortunate, but also I knew exactly what I was looking for when I called you, and I think you really picked up on that really quick, and you were able to ask me the right things, which is something that nobody had been able to help me with before, because I wasn't looking at things the right way. So some things lined up at work, I think, after I realized how negative I really was. And when you go in looking at things positively instead of everybody's out to get you, that helps a lot. And now things are just falling right into place.
Right. It was pretty instant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was within a week or so, 2 weeks, like of our first chat.
It absolutely was. And I think it was the current job that I had. I thought I was put there, and you made me understand that you weren't put there in a bad way. You were put there because it matches your skills, and what can you do with that? So.
Right.
And I was able to ask the right questions, and it's just gotten better since.
Yay, yay. Well,
Yay.
so what are kind of the end results? What are the what are you kind of enjoying now that, you know, we've gone through this process together, and you mentioned the job, but like, so that, but yeah, what are all the things that have really happened for you?
You, I think, helped me identify that a lot of these goals I keep talking about was also a way to keep momentum going. And maybe the momentum doesn't have to keep going quite in that way. So now I find myself in a much happier spot, understanding that it's a lot simpler than I think it is. If
Yeah.
I understand what I'm looking at, so I don't have to move out of the country per se, but now I understand I need a little patch of grass and some serenity.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Or
so you've got, so you're gonna be looking for your patch of grass really soon, right? Yeah.
I am waiting for my daughter to move, but yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
she's in the background, so I was looking at her over my shoulder.
um, and so, and tell me a little bit more about what's happened in your job. So it's like there's some been incredible things that have happened.
There really have been. Like I said, I was asked to take a position, and in my head, because of all the things that you do to yourself, I had assumed that I had just gone over there because they were pushing me out of the way. When what I came to realize is that I have a particular skill set that goes into that job. And now that I'm able to see that the world is kind of my oyster and I can think out of the box, I've been asked to join a leadership development group at work, which is huge. My bosses are starting to say, think out of the box. You have a golden opportunity here, which is fantastic. And it's not just one boss, it's all of them.
Right.
So it's really just opened up my creativity, which I think is something that went by the wayside.
Yeah, that's great. And so, and you don't have to speak specifically about it, but also there's this big possible role that you're going to get to undertake that is going to be in your whole district, right?
Absolutely. So it is a district position, and I now get to, nobody's doing anything that we're doing right now, so I get to do it all from scratch. I have a great team of people that I get to work with, but imagine how much fun it'll be to do something from scratch and develop it yourself. So it's like my own little company, more or less.
Yeah.
And I'm providing a service. So it's great.
Yeah. So could have you when we started back in just really at the beginning of February, could have you imagined that this was the possibility?
At the time when I first started, no, I don't think so, because I was stuck in a paradigm of what I thought I was supposed to do at the company. And it does not fit what I'm doing now.
Right.
But I think doing that, I would have been very miserable. So no, this was not in my vision.
Right, right. So a total 180 basically, right?
Yes.
From I'm not liking my job, I'm going to try and stick it out for a couple more years, but this is going to be hell. And
I was thinking, like, do I need to retire in a couple of years and find something else to do? And now it's like, no, I can be very happy here doing this, which is a big deal.
Wow, that's awesome. So anything else that's been kind of a benefit from this after, that you can think of?
Just getting rid of guilt. Like I said, I don't think I realized I was carrying it around as much as I was. And it does, have to do with several things that happened in my life. But I'm able to see past that now. I think you said one thing in particular that I was very guilty about what I had done to my children just in moving and everything. And you had said, but look at what independent people you raised. And it was like, oh, okay, there is some benefit to this. So, there were some good things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So more purpose in your job.
Mm-hmm.
Happier in life in general because you're kind of feeling more settled, right? And guilt free ish.
Guilt greatly reduced.
Yeah.
As women,
as women, we tend to always always kind of feel guilty about something, but
Exactly.
that greatly reduced.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow. Yay. That's
Good.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, so is this something, again, that was that, I remember also you said, this is going to take a long time. I know, we're going to, this is not going to happen overnight, but things change far
Yep.
quicker. So, and that's the thing that I find also is that when we kind of start to assign that this is going to take for a long time, because your experience prior to this was that, oh, I've kind of been slogging through this for the last 5 years or
Yeah.
more, right?
Exactly.
And so this is not going to just change overnight. It's not going to just change that quickly. So again, that's another perspective shift, right? Is that, when you are in the right space and the right energy, you've got the right questions, you've got the right people around you, things can change really, really quickly. When we change, everything else outside of us changes and reflects us. So,
and I don't think I realized that. So thank you for helping me understand the energy that you give off portion of it, because I think that was hugely instrumental.
yeah. No, you're welcome. That's awesome. So is this something that you would recommend to others?
Absolutely. Especially, I think we had this conversation, like I wasn't sure if you were just after younger people starting their careers, but honestly, for somebody in my age bracket, perhaps, or just part of life, this is huge, because I know, talking to girlfriends and other family members, that I'm not the only one trying to figure this out, because there just so much that changes at this part of your life.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's absolutely right. Right. We're going for these, we've been working towards all these goals and then they're accomplished. And now what? So what do we do? Right. So, yes.
Yeah. If I can give you a compliment, you're just very clarifying, which I guess if that's the word I would be looking for, is just, that's what's very helpful.
Yay. Good. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Tina. Is there anything else that you want to just finish with? Any last kind of words of wisdom?
Just have somebody that can ask you the right questions, because I think that was my key to success. Yeah. You asked me the right questions and you knew what the right questions were. And to me, that was huge.
Right. Well, and also the tools that, sorry, I asked you for your last words of wisdom, but I didn't ask this question about, like, were the tools that I shared with you, are they something that, was anything, one of them kind of stuck out for you?
I was going to say, yeah, thank you very much for the tools, because I will carry those with me forever. But the one that stuck with me the most was the homework that you said, write down what you want to do. I think it was who you want to do it with, and there were 2 others, but those are the 2 that stuck with me, because when I really started to write down, what do I want to do, it was not as complicated as I was making it out to be.
Right.
And who did I want to do it with? Again, not as complicated as I was making it out to be. And once I did those 2 things, it was like an aha moment for me.
Yeah. Yay. Good. Well, thank you so much, Tina. And I so appreciate it. It's been such a pleasure to work with you, because every time we got on the phone, it's like, what's happened now? That's like that's how I get on the phone, with my clients. It's like, what's happened now? So, and it was all very, very cool. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. Right. Thanks, everybody. So if you want to have a chat about this, please, and you're interested, you need to make some changes, please just connect with me, and we'll just have a no strings chat. All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Tina. Bye.